Hey guys, tonight we're pulling an all-nighter on the graveyard shift. The air in Unit 47 is thick and cold, smelling faintly of stale coffee and industrial cleaner. It's the kind of metallic cold that sinks into your bones, regardless of the thermostat setting. Outside, the world is muted. The rain started an hour ago, not hard, but insistent, just little taps against the windshield, like a drummer practicing with the softest tips of his sticks. The city is sleeping, or at least pretending to. Out here, on the northern edge of the patrol sector, the streetlights struggle against the fog that rolls in off the river, turning the amber glow into a sickly, diffused haze. The only reliable illumination comes from the dashboard, the pale green of the speedometer, the angry red LEDs of the terminal, and the constant, restless blue-white flicker of the two-way radio display. The radio is my constant companion, humming its low, expectant tone. It's the heartbeat of the shift, the only thing that proves the rest of the world still exists. Right now, it's mostly just the heavy white noise of open air, punctuated every few minutes by dispatch checking in with a routine 10 to 8. The static is never truly silent. It's a living sound, a hiss of possibilities and dread. Tonight, however, the static has a different texture. It feels crowded, like someone is trying to force a conversation through a wall of insulation. I just took over Unit 47, one of the oldest sedans the precinct keeps in rotation for the midnight shift, the shift where nobody notices if the patrol car smells a little like damp wool and unacknowledged grief. We call it the Midnight Patrol. The rules are different here. The world shrinks down to the illuminated bubble of the car interior and the immediate halo of the headlights. You probably won't make it to dawn after this one. Things happen out here that the morning sun washes clean, leaving only the residue of confusion on the paperwork. I'm cruising slowly down Division Street, heading toward the old Central Industrial Zone, a massive, abandoned complex that serves as a perfect backdrop for urban decay and occasional illicit activity. The fog here is biblical, swallowing sound and depth. My speed holds steady at 15 miles per hour. I'm scanning the empty loading docks, checking for signs of forced entry. It's a necessary boredom, the rhythm of the 10 to 99, checking business security. Then, the anomaly begins. The radio, which is strictly tuned to Precinct Channel 1, 155.450 MHz, makes a sharp, distressed sound. A burst of pure, high-pitched feedback, followed by a sudden, clear voice. It's a distorted whisper, male, and terribly close. 47. Are you reading? I grabbed the mic immediately, heart rate jumping. Unit 47, say again. Who is this? I read you broken. Dispatch is silent. No one else reacts. The voice was crystal clear, cutting through the usual hiss, but the tone was wrong. It wasn't the trained, measured cadence of the dispatcher. It was raw panic, overlaid with the sound of wind. 47, you're on the wrong frequency, dispatch replies, calm and slightly annoyed, her voice coming from the usual channel. Did you touch the dial? Negative, dispatch. I had a transmission breakthrough. Sounded like someone calling me directly. We show all lines clear, 47. Check your antenna, maybe some electrical interference from the weather. Stick to 155.450. Over. I acknowledge the call, but my eyes are already drifting to the digital display. The numbers are flickering rapidly, cycling through frequencies, something the radio shouldn't do unless manually overridden. And then, for a split second, it locks onto a channel that doesn't officially exist, 89.1 FM. It's just static, not white noise, but a deep, throbbing hum, like a distant, massive engine idling. I reach for the manual tuning knob, my fingers feeling clumsy and cold. Before I can adjust it back to 155.450, the static on 89.1 shifts. It's not a voice this time, but a sound effect, the distinct click-clack of an old Remington typewriter, followed by a wet, heavy sigh. Then, just as fast, the radio violently snaps back to the assigned frequency, leaving the heavy, deep hum hanging in the car cabin for a full 3 seconds afterward. This is the kind of detail that never makes it into the police report. It's the kind of thing you file away under shift dementia or need more sleep. But I know what I heard. That 89.1 frequency, the dead channel, is an old internal precinct joke, a myth about the spectral frequency where all the unsolved, dead cases end up whispering for help. No modern radio should be able to touch it. I pull the cruiser over, leaning back against the worn vinyl seat. The rain has stopped, leaving the fog to rule supreme. I pull out my notebook, forcing myself to write down the mundane details of my location, 900 block of division, CIZ perimeter, to ground myself. But the panic-laced voice, the click-clack of the spectral typewriter, and the impossible frequency have shifted the atmosphere. The routine is gone. This shift has officially begun looking for me. Before I get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy what I do here. If you're out there watching this with me, drop a comment with your location and local time. Let me know where the midnight patrol is finding you. Now, dim the lights, maybe crack open a window for that midnight fog, and let's hit the streets together. I have a hunch that whatever spoke to me is rooted in history. It smells like a cold case that never got properly filed. I put the car in drive, letting the slow, steady grind of the engine replace the static in my ears. The sense of being watched from the rearview mirror is acute. I look at the deserted street again, feeling the weight of the city's secrets pressing down. I think some crimes were never meant to be solved. They just wait for the right radio frequency to broadcast their despair. My only course now is to find out what case that ghost channel belongs to. The records room is the only place to start. The decision to temporarily deviate from my 10 to 14 patrol duty is an immediate necessity, a gut reaction overriding protocol. I call dispatch, logging a 10 to 7 out of service for required precinct duties, specifically checking an old equipment locker in the basement. It's a transparent lie, but the dispatcher is too tired to argue, merely logging the time. 2:15 a.m. Pulling Unit 47 back into the precinct parking garage feels like resurfacing after a deep dive. The fluorescent lights buzz with a mundane sanity I suddenly crave. I leave the engine running, a superstitious habit common among graveyard shift veterans, suggesting that if the car dies, the night owns you. The precinct building is silent. It's a massive, concrete structure built in the 1970s, designed to look imposing and permanent. Now, it just looks tired. I head straight for the basement records room, the air growing exponentially colder with every flight of stairs. The basement smells of mildew, old paper, and the deep, chemical ozone generated by 3 decades of forgotten photocopying. This is where the paper archives go to die, or perhaps to whisper. I find the records room locked, as usual. The padlock is ancient and rusty. I fish out the universal key, a heavy brass skeleton key handed down through the shifts, and turn it with a groan that echoes through the concrete corridor. Stepping inside, I'm greeted by endless rows of battleship gray filing cabinets, floor to ceiling. This is the official police filing system, meticulously organized chaos. I need to find something connected to a missing person, a patrol officer, and potentially radio anomalies. The cases from before 1995 are stored here, pre-digital cataloging. I head straight for the HM section, looking for missing persons, specifically police personnel. I know the precinct lost a few officers over the years, mainly through transfer, retirement, or tragedy. But there is one name, whispered occasionally when the younger guys get too loud about departmental efficiency. Kellen. Officer David Kellen. He vanished 30 years ago, almost to the day. He was patrolling the very edge of the CIZ, my current patrol sector. His car, Unit 47, the same unit I am driving tonight, a chilling detail I try to ignore, was found abandoned, engine running, doors locked from the inside. Nothing else. No struggle, no witnesses, just an empty, running car. I run my fingers along the heavy manila folders, dust instantly clinging to my gloves. The system is alphabetical by victim, then chronological. I find the section for K, Carr, Kelly, and then Kellen D. Missing. The file is unusually thick, perhaps 3 inches of heavy paper, secured with 3 frayed rubber bands. The date stamp is 1994. I pull the folder free, the weight of it surprisingly heavy. The moment I set it on the dusty filing table, the overhead fluorescent bulb directly above me sputters violently and dies, plunging my immediate workspace into shadow. My heart thumps. I reach into my pocket for my tactical flashlight, its beam cutting a harsh, focused yellow cylinder across the dark documents. I open the file. The first page is the initial report, a standard missing person form. I skip the biographical details and go straight to the last known activities. Last location, Central Industrial Zone, CZ, 900, Block Division Street. Time of last contact, 3 a.m. Evidence, vehicle, Unit 47, abandoned, radio handset off the hook, transmitting continuous static. The details are unnerving. 900, Block Division Street. That's exactly where I was pulled over 10 minutes ago, wrestling with the phantom 89.1 frequency. The continuous static mentioned in the report is also key. I dig deeper into the appendices. A transcript of the final radio communications. Most of it is routine, but near the end, there is a section marked anomaly. Dispatch, Unit 47, verify location. You are reading weak. Kellen, heavy static. Voice indistinct, high-pitched. Get off the channel. You're bleeding through. Dispatch, Unit 47, repeat last. We show your signal strength dropping rapidly. Kellen, a sharp crackle, followed by a sound described only as metallic screeching. Dispatch, Unit 47, 10 to 99, urgent message. What frequency are you operating on? Kellen, whispered, clear, but overlaid with wind. 89.1. They're waiting. End of official transcript. Signal lost. I stare at the page, the beam of my flashlight shaking slightly. 89.1. The dead channel. Kellen didn't just hear it. He somehow accessed it, or was pulled into it, 30 years ago, in the exact same car, on the exact same block. There is a final, highly technical memo in the file from the communications department, dated a week after Kellen's disappearance. It discusses the strange behavior of the radio in Unit 47. The technicians determined the radio was somehow locked onto an unauthorized, analog frequency band, one that required obsolete hardware. They noted that the radio continued to transmit a faint, deep rhythmic hum, even after the power was cut. The conclusion? A serious, inexplicable electrical fault requiring the replacement of the entire communication unit. Yet, the radio in Unit 47 tonight is the exact replacement model they installed 30 years ago. The cold in the basement is now unbearable, a penetrating physical presence that is not just temperature, but profound dread. I gather the file pages, carefully returning them to the folder. This isn't just an old case. This is a blueprint. Kellen followed the anomaly, and the anomaly led him to his patrol's eternal end. The radio didn't just malfunction, it was the portal. I forced myself to stand up, the flashlight beam sweeping across the silent metal cabinets. I think some crimes were never meant to be solved, not because the evidence is missing, but because the crime scene itself is still active, waiting for the next patrol to stumble onto the wrong frequency. My heart tells me to shred this file and forget 89.1 ever happened. My training tells me I have probable cause to believe a crime scene is active. If Kellen was taken at 3 a.m., and it is now 2:45 a.m., I am running out of shift time. I need to get back to the 900 block of Division Street. I have to see what Kellen saw, right down to the second. I closed the heavy basement door, locking the dead case back in its grave. But I know the ghost of Kellen is already riding shotgun back out to the fog. The drive back out to the CIZ feels different now. The darkness isn't just absence of light, it's anticipation. The car itself seems heavier, Unit 47 vibrating with a low frequency that has nothing to do with the engine and everything to do with the radio humming quietly in a dash. I try to keep my radio strictly on 155.450, but the digital display keeps flashing tiny, almost imperceptible bursts of 89.1. As I approach the outer limits of the industrial park, the fog, which was merely heavy before, becomes suffocating. It's thick enough to scrape against the wipers, turning my headlights into twin, useless orbs of yellow smoke. Visibility drops to perhaps 20 feet. This is the 900 block of Division, the area where Kellen vanished. I pull Unit 47 to a stop exactly where the map in the file indicated Kellen's vehicle was found. The area is deserted. Long, concrete slabs of abandoned warehouses, broken fences, and weeds growing through cracked asphalt. I key the mic. Unit 47, 10 to 21, report in person. Checking the property at 900 Division. Nothing observed at this time. Roger, 47. Be safe out there. The humidity is heavy. Dispatch replies, her voice sounding far away, muffled by the sheer weight of the fog. I sit still, running the heater for the sole purpose of fighting the encroaching dampness. It's 2:55 a.m., 5 minutes until the moment of Kellen's disappearance. I feel like an actor waiting for a curtain call that will reveal a scene 30 years old. The supernatural element isn't audible yet. It's visual, slowly creeping into my field of view. I catch movement in my periphery, just a flicker near the passenger side window. I turn, seeing only the impenetrable white of the fog. Then, I check the rearview mirror. In the small rectangle of glass, the interior of the squad car is perfectly visible. The back seat, the wire divider, the shadowy space behind me. The material on the seat is the same worn vinyl I've been sitting on all night. But suddenly, the reflection changes. The light shifts, and for a heart-stopping second, the back seat isn't empty. There's a figure there, slumped against the wire mesh, wearing the dark, heavy uniform of a 1990s patrol officer. It's Officer Kellen. His face is pale, his eyes wide, looking not at me, but up and forward, toward the windshield, a look of abject, frozen terror etched across his features. The image holds for maybe 2 seconds, long enough for me to register the fear, the specific uniform, and the dark splatter of something wet on the beige divider. Then, the reflection shimmers, like water disturbed, and returns to the empty, shadowed vinyl of Unit 47. My breath catches in my throat. I spin around, wrenching my neck to look directly at the back seat. Empty. Cold. Just the faint smell of old car upholstery. I look back into the mirror. It reflects me, pale, wide-eyed, the blue glow of the dash illuminating the panic in my face. This is not a ghost I can interact with. It is a memory captured in the metal and glass of the car itself, a time distortion, a replay. Kellen didn't just vanish. He experienced something terrifying, and the car witnessed it. I pull out my service weapon and place it silently on the passenger seat, Not because I believe Kellen's reflection is a physical threat, but because the sudden violation of reality requires a physical anchor. It is 2:59 a.m. I press the transmit button on the mic, but don't speak. I just need dispatch to hear the silence on my channel, a tacit acknowledgement that I am here and focusing. 3 a.m. The radio doesn't scream static. It doesn't switch to 89.1. Instead, the cabin is filled with the deep, rhythmic hum I heard in the basement, the sound the technicians wrote about 30 years ago. It's the sound of power drawing heavily on a source, like a massive vacuum suddenly turning on. The hum intensifies, pushing against my eardrums. I feel pressure, not just auditory, but physical, pressing in from the fog. I feel the steering wheel vibrating violently in my hands. I glance back into the rearview mirror. Kellen is there again, clearer this time. He isn't slumped, he's struggling. His reflection is fighting something I can't see, something pulling him backward into the impossible darkness beyond the car's rear window. His mouth is open in a silent scream. I slam the transmission into drive, needing to break the tableau, needing movement to dispel the memory loop. As Unit 47 lurches forward, Kellen's reflection flashes one last time. This time, he isn't screaming. He's looking directly at my eyes in the mirror. His lips move, forming one clear, desperate word before the reflection melts completely. Run. I accelerate rapidly, the tires squealing softly on the wet asphalt, desperate to leave the 900 block. The radio static crackles violently, and I hear a voice, muffled and panicked, almost drowned out by the interference. It's not dispatch. It's a new voice, unfamiliar, male, using antiquated 10 codes. Code 10 to 66, suspicious person at the yellow warehouse. Requesting immediate 10 to 99, urgent backup on the 900 loop. This is Unit 28. I have 10 to 33, emergency traffic, that the channel is compromised. Someone is here. 47, do you copy? Unit 28. That designation hasn't been used in this precinct since the late 1980s. And the vocabulary, the 900 loop. I think some crimes were never meant to be solved because the evidence is still being generated. Kellen warned me to run, but the ghost channel just opened a new case file and assigned it to the ghost car. I am now following a call made by a radio that hasn't existed in 30 years from an officer who doesn't exist anymore. My curiosity has officially devolved into fear. I need to find the yellow warehouse, and I need to find Unit 28. I am driving blind, relying entirely on instinct and the occasional faint outline of a concrete structure piercing the oppressive fog. The code 10 to 66 transmission has ceased, replaced by a steady, high-frequency whine on 89.1. The dead channel, which the radio in Unit 47 seems completely unable to ignore now. The official police frequency, 155.450, is intermittent, fluttering in and out, as if the physical location I occupy is shielded from the real world. I drive for perhaps 2 minutes, feeling the car slide through turns I can't clearly see. I try to maintain bearing, estimating my position, but the industrial park is vast and maze-like. I look for the yellow warehouse mentioned by Unit 28. Then I see it. Through a momentary thinning of the fog, illuminated by a single, sickly amber streetlight, a massive, derelict structure, the paint peeling in heavy strips to reveal the faded ochre color beneath. The yellow warehouse. I slam on the brakes. Unit 47 hydroplaning slightly before catching traction. I grab the mic, pressing the transmit button firmly. Dispatch, Unit 47. I am at the yellow warehouse, 900 block division. I am investigating a reported 10 to 66 from an unauthorized channel. Unit 28. Advise caution. There's a long silence on the primary channel, followed by dispatch's confused voice. 47, we show no Unit 28 on duty. Are you running a secondary encryption channel? We received no 10 to 66 call on the primary band. I realized the call didn't go through the modern precinct system at all. It was an analog echo, captured only by the receiver in Unit 47, the recipient of the original 1994 distress call. Negative dispatch. Proceeding 10 to 7, out of service, to investigate potential electrical interference source in the area. Advise 10 to 79, send ambulance, if I don't respond in 5 minutes. I hang up the mic before she can argue. The air conditioning is now struggling against the cold that seems to radiate from the fog outside. I secure my weapon, check the flashlight, and exit the vehicle. The moment my boots touch the cold, wet asphalt, the silence is overwhelming. The hum of the ghost frequency is muted here, absorbed by the vast, empty space. The fog is so dense it feels like stepping through heavy gauze. I walk slowly toward the yellow warehouse, relying on the beam of my tactical light. The building is enormous, stretching maybe 300 yards down the street. I approach a set of rusted loading bay doors. They look welded shut. As I move along the side wall, checking for access points, I begin to hear it, the faint, repetitive sound of heavy footsteps on asphalt coming from the fog ahead. Slow, deliberate, and undeniably human. My training kicks in. I drop low, drawing my sidearm, light held tight against my chest. Police, show me your hands. I shout into the oppressive vapor. The footsteps stop instantly. Silence. I wait, breathing shallowly, listening for anything. A voice, a shuffle, a cough. Nothing. Then, the static in the air returns, crackling directly into my ear. My mic is off, but the sound is localized right beside my head, the ghost frequency leaking into the atmosphere. You're too late, Unit 47. I told you, run. It's Kellen's voice, distorted, whispered, right next to me. I whip around, aiming my light and my weapon at the source of the sound. There is nothing there. Kellen, if that's you, show yourself. I'm here to help. I demand, my voice raw and desperate. The response isn't verbal. It's a metallic, scraping sound, followed by the slow, painful rotation of a rusty chain. I shine my light toward the sound and find what looks like an old, single-person gate, the kind used for pedestrian access, swinging slowly inward. It was locked before. I hesitate at the threshold. This gate leads into the interior compound of the CIZ, a section of the park supposedly condemned decades ago. Don't follow the call. The whisper urges, receding now, sounding like it's emanating from the air itself. It's the signal that traps you. I stand there, adrenaline pounding, debating Kellen's advice against my own drive to understand. He vanished following a code 10 to 66. I received a code 10 to 66. The steps I heard, were they Kellen's? Or the source of the danger? I step through the gate. Immediately, the fog swallows the streetlights behind me. The only light is my own flashlight. The ground here is uneven, covered in gravel and industrial debris. The footsteps start again, faintly, ahead of me. They sound labored, dragging. I move cautiously, weapon ready. The sound of the dragging footsteps leads me around a massive corner of the yellow warehouse, into a narrow alleyway choked with dense, gray vapor. The air here is colder, damper, carrying the faint, metallic scent of ozone and something else, something sharp and electric, like burnt wiring. Then I see it. Not a person, but an object. Parked horizontally across the narrow alley, blocking the path entirely, is a vehicle. It is old, dark, and utterly caked in dirt and rust. It bears the unmistakable, faded paint job of a police cruiser from the 1990s. The license plate is rusted solid, but the unit number, barely legible on the trunk, is 28. Unit 28. The Ghost Caller. I approached the vehicle, the fear escalating into deep dread. The driver's side door is slightly ajar. I shine the light inside. The cabin is empty, covered in 3 decades of dust and spiderwebs. But draped across the passenger seat, near the console, is an object I recognize immediately: an old, analog radio handset, the type used long before digital encryption. It is off the hook, resting on the seat, transmitting the continuous, high-pitched whine of the dead channel. I reach out to touch the handset. As my fingers close over the cold, heavy plastic, the whine instantly stops. The silence that follows is absolute. The fog doesn't move. The air is dead. Then, I look down at the asphalt beside the car. Following the drag marks I heard, the heavy steps, I see a single, continuous track of scuff marks leading away from Unit 28, directly into the heaviest, darkest section of the fog, suggesting that whatever was dragging itself away had only one leg, or was carrying an unimaginable weight. The path leads further, deeper, into the heart of the CIZ. I think some crimes were never meant to be solved because following the trail leads you outside the jurisdiction of time and reality. I am no longer on a street. I am inside the crime scene itself. I realize that the only way forward is to pursue that track. If I don't, I will be stuck here, trapped by the signal. I need to break the 900 loop. I stand in the silence of the alley, the cold, heavy handset from Unit 28 still clutched in my hand. It feels like an artifact, a key to a prison I've just willingly entered. The drag marks lead me away from the yellow warehouse and deeper into the abandoned industrial maze, toward what must be the center of the anomaly. I holster the handset, reluctant to drop it, yet needing both hands free. I am running on pure, terrified adrenaline now, driven by the bizarre conviction that Officer Kellen, or what's left of him, is ahead of me, waiting to be found, or perhaps waiting to be saved from the fate he warned me about. I walk for what feels like 5 minutes, navigating around derelict machinery and enormous piles of crumbling concrete. The fog here is a physical barrier, pressing against my uniform, making every breath cold and heavy. I keep looking back, needing to see the yellow warehouse for bearing, but the fog has erased it entirely. There is only white behind me. I pass a distinct landmark, a street lamp, its head shattered, throwing off a stuttering, rhythmic spark that briefly illuminates a pool of oily water beneath it. I make a mental note: broken lamp, oily water. I continue, following the faint drag marks, which seem to get heavier, wetter. The sound of my own footsteps echoes strangely, not just once, but twice, 3 times, trailing slightly behind me, a chorus of phantoms walking in sequence. After another 2 minutes of walking, I come to a sharp junction. The drag marks lead left. I turn the corner, and I stop dead. My tactical light falls on the exact same landmark, the street lamp, its head shattered, throwing off the stuttering, rhythmic spark into the pool of oily water beneath it. I feel a profound disorientation, a physical lurch in my stomach. No, I must have circled back. This area of the CIZ must be smaller than I thought. I turn around, ready to retrace my steps back to the junction, but the path behind me is too short. I should have walked for 3 blocks to get back to the junction, yet I am only 10 feet away from the corner I just turned. The only things visible are the walls of the warehouses, indistinguishable from the ones I just passed. I check my watch. 3:15 a.m. I haven't lost much time, but I've lost all spatial orientation. I decide to move quickly, forcing a pace that demands attention to detail. I turn right at the broken lamp, determined to find an exit. I run for a minute, heart pounding, the cold air burning my lungs. The alley opens up onto a slightly wider road, just wide enough for a patrol car. I see another landmark, a faded red stop sign, bent at a violent angle, half swallowed by thick ivy. Bent stop sign. Good. New landmark. I continue past the stop sign, moving as quickly as the footing allows. I need to find the main road, the 900 block and Unit 47. After 30 seconds, the road curves sharply. I follow the curve, shining my light ahead, desperate for a change in scenery. My light lands on a familiar structure, a massive, derelict building. The paint is peeling heavily, revealing the distinctive faded ochre beneath. The yellow warehouse. I stop. The building is ahead of me, completely blocking my path. To my left, at the corner where the road curves, is the same bent, ivy-covered stop sign. I have not traveled forward. I have traveled around. This isn't just disorientation. This is the loop Kellen warned about, the 900 loop. The geography of the CIZ has been folded in on itself. I am trapped in a specific, contained piece of space-time, perhaps the exact 3-block area Kellen patrolled in his final moments. The fog is not just weather, it is the boundary of the anomaly. I force myself to walk back to the last corner I remembered seeing, the stop sign. From there, I see the path leading into the narrow alley where the footsteps originated. I start down that path. I walk past the same industrial debris, the same crumbling concrete. And after a minute of slow, terrified walking, I pass the landmark, the street lamp, its head shattered, throwing off a stuttering, rhythmic spark into the pool of oily water beneath it. I am cycling. I am inside a repetitive, geographical anomaly. I am not patrolling the city anymore. I am patrolling Kellen's last patrol. This is the definition of quiet terror. The world behaving logically, but according to rules I don't understand, trapping me in the cycle of the missing officer. I realize I need to reverse the procedure. If following the path leads me into the loop, I need to break the path. I race back to the shattered lamp, planting myself directly in front of the oil slick. I ignore the drag marks leading left. I choose to go right, toward the deepest part of the shadow between two vast, silent structures. As I step into the shadow, the air pressure drops sharply. The hum of the dead channel returns, roaring in my ears, louder than before. It's no longer static. It's a million pieces of sound crammed together, like decades of unanswered transmissions finally finding an exit point. I hear Kellen's voice, weaker now, barely above the noise. Don't look. Don't look for me. The patrol never ends here. The shift keeps looping. I shine my light into the shadow. There are no drag marks here, but something is waiting. I see a faint shimmer, a heat haze in the cold air, right where the two buildings meet. It's a distortion in the visibility, like looking through water. And within that distortion, I see movement. Not Kellen's reflection, but a long, black shadow, utterly unnatural, stretching and contracting against the wall, absorbing the light. I think some crimes were never meant to be solved, because the answer requires sacrificing your reality to understand the question. I am facing the thing that took Kellen, the entity that maintains the 900 loop. I clutched the heavy handset from Unit 28, knowing the radio is the only thing that seems to react to this anomaly. If I cannot escape the cycle geographically, I must interrupt the signal. I have to force the dead channel to speak to me, clearly, before the loop absorbs me entirely and I become just another set of echoing footsteps in the fog. The rhythmic spark of the broken lamp behind me feels like a countdown timer. I stand at the threshold of the distortion, the black, stretching shadow visible in the heat haze. The noise from the radio handset I hold is unbearable, a grinding, mechanical shriek that seems to originate from inside my skull, not the plastic casing. I know what this is, the climax of the patrol. This is where Kellen stopped fighting the signal and vanished. I could try to fight the shadow, but it feels less like a creature and more like the end point of a physics experiment gone wrong. A localized tear in reality, maintained by the continuous signal of the dead channel. I make a split-second decision. I drop my weapon onto the gravel. It's useless here. My only tool is the means of communication. I hold the analog handset from Unit 28 high above my head, directly in front of the spatial distortion. I am Unit 47. I shout into the overwhelming noise, my voice cracking. I am 10 to 7, out of service, on the 900 loop. I require immediate 10 to 10, return to headquarters. I am breaking the frequency. The shadow doesn't react, but the noise from the handset explodes. The high-pitched whine deepens, morphing into a sound that is recognizable, horrifyingly so. The continuous, amplified sound of heavy rain falling onto a microphone, accompanied by frantic, ragged breathing. It's the moment of Kellen's last transmission, 30 years ago, playing on a loop. I jam the radio handset back into my ear, forcing myself to listen through the dread. I reach out and press the call button on the side of the obsolete mic, forcing a transmission back into the source of the anomaly. Kellen, David Kellen, I have your file. I am the one who came back. Tell me how to stop the loop. The screeching static stops instantly, violently. The profound silence that follows is more shocking than the noise. The heat-haze distortion shimmers, then solidifies slightly, taking on the faint outline of a door frame standing alone, without a wall around it. Then, the voice comes through the handset, clear, measured, but imbued with unimaginable exhaustion and cold. It is Kellen, 47, thank God. You hear me. His voice is exactly as it was described in the anomaly section of the 1994 file, whispered, clear, but overlaid with the continuous sound of wind, even though the air around me is still and heavy. Where are you, Kellen? I ask, dropping my voice to match his whisper, terrified that raising my voice will disrupt the connection. I am stuck, 47. I am stuck in the static. I became the 89.1 signal. This is where the patrol goes when it never files a final report. We're still driving, still looking for the suspect in the fog. But the suspect isn't a person. It's the silence between the channels. He sounds like a man reciting scripture he has been forced to memorize for 3 decades. The loop, the 900 loop. How do I get out? Kellen pauses. I hear the distinctive click-clack of the Remington typewriter in the background. Closer now. You looked at my reflection. That means you were carrying the witness. You broke the loop for a moment by following the code 10 to 66, the one I transmitted 30 years ago. But the cycle is about to reset. It resets every time the patrol reaches 3:30 a.m. I glance at my watch. 3:26 a.m. For minutes. You need to exit the patrol before your shift ends, Kellen continues, his voice rising in panic. You have to file your 10 to 10, return to headquarters, at the moment of the signal break. You must report yourself as 10 to 8, in service, back on 155.450, while you are still inside the 89.1 anomaly. You have to lie your way out of the fog. He sounds desperate. Don't stop investigating. Don't look back. Just drive through the break, file the report, and the loop can't hold you. I look past the freestanding doorway illusion into the shadow. I understand. The only way to defeat the ghost is to utilize the bureaucratic realism of the job. The supernatural trap requires a mundane protocol escape. What about you, Kellen? Kellen emits a sound that is less a sigh and more a collapsing echo. I tried to report the signal. I didn't report in service. I stopped the car and looked back. Don't stop. Don't wait for the evidence. Just drive. The rhythmic pounding in the background increases, a deep, slow, measured thudding that feels like a heart beating once per minute. The shadow begins to stretch wider, taller. The distortion is growing, coming for me. I run. I drop the old handset and sprint back the way I came, past the shattered lamp, past the yellow warehouse, ignoring the confusing geography of the loop. I sprint until I hit a wall, the actual concrete wall of the yellow warehouse. I turn right, knowing Unit 47 must be close. Then, I hear the distinct sound of a modern police radio. My radio, crackling through the fog. It's dispatch, trying to reach me on 155.450. The fog must be thinning enough for the real world to bleed through. I crash through the last bit of scrub, and there it is, Unit 47, engine still idling, a pale, welcoming beacon in the endless white. I leap into the driver's seat, grabbing the modern mic. The dashboard clock shows 3:29 a.m. I key the mic. The sound is clear, strong, and real. Dispatch, Unit 47. I am 10 to 8, in service, resuming normal patrol. Heading back to the station now for shift transfer. I slam the transmission into drive, turning Unit 47 sharply. I don't look at the rearview mirror. I don't look back at the yellow warehouse. I drive straight into the heaviest portion of the fog, trusting that Kellen's instruction, drive through the brake, is the only way out. As I drive, the radio display flickers one final time between 155.450 and 89.1. On the dead channel, Kellen's voice whispers, too low for dispatch to hear, just for me. Go file your report, and never tune off channel again. The car hits what feels like a solid wall of air, and suddenly, the fog is gone. The heavy, metallic ozone smell vanishes. I am on a wide, known city street, the streetlights ahead clear and golden. Unit 47 is back in reality. I pull onto the main street, feeling the shuddering cessation of the anomaly. The time on my dashboard clock is 3:31 a.m. I beat the reset by 1 minute. I think some crimes were never meant to be solved, but sometimes the protocol is the only thing strong enough to save you from the evidence. I drive away from the CIZ, leaving the 900 loop silent in the fog behind me. The trip back to the precinct is a blur of hyper-awareness. The city lights feel too bright, the traffic signals too aggressive, the sound of the radio static too loud and clean. I pull Unit 47 back into the bay, turning the engine off at 3:45 a.m. The silence is absolute, heavier than the fog I just left. I sit in the dark car for a long moment, allowing the ordinary cold to replace the supernatural cold that had penetrated my bones. My hands are shaking badly. I reach for my notes, forcing myself to document the last hour as a routine patrol, making no mention of the 89.1 frequency, Kellen, or the looping reality. I file it under routine security check, CIZ perimeter, nothing observed. Kellen taught me the protocol for survival. Lie the system back into sanity. I extract the radio handset from Unit 28 from my jacket pocket. It's cold, heavy, and inert. I carefully slip it into a zippered evidence bag, labeling it Found Object, Division Street. It won't stand up in court, but it's a piece of proof for myself. I will never show it to Internal Affairs. It's a key to a door I never want to open again. I finally step out of Unit 47. The air in the garage is stale and dry. I look back at the old cruiser. The back seat is empty, unremarkable,